The chair in Dr. Evans's office was too soft. It swallowed you, made you feel small. At 83, you fight that feeling every day. He had my charts on his screen, his back to me. When he turned, his face wasn't stern. It was worse. It was pithy. "Eleanor," he said, using my first name like we were friends. "The scans are back. The progression is aggressive." I knew what was coming. The tired blood, the brittle bones, the whisper in my chest that wasn't there last year. He laid it out like a roadmap to a cliff. Treatment options. He called them brutal, bi-a-month options that would leave me sicker than the disease. Then he said the words that turned my blood to ice. "At this stage, with your age, the kindest path may be palliative. Focus on quality of life. It's time to start thinking about saying your goodbyes. Saying your goodbyes." He made it sound like a gentle, necessary chore, like returning library books. He saw a fragile vessel slowly emptying. He didn't see me. He didn't see the girl who rode on the back of Tommy McLaren's 1965 Harley-Davidson at 17. The wind screaming in my ears, feeling more alive than I ever had before or since. He didn't see the woman who raised 3 sons alone after her husband vanished into his own depression. He didn't see the grandmother who could still fix a leaky faucet and quote Shakespeare. He saw an expiration date. I sat in that soft chair and nodded. I was polite. I took the brochures for hospice care. I walked out into the blinding, ordinary sunlight of the parking lot, and I felt nothing. A great gray nothing. Not fear, not sadness, a void. I drove home to my silent, tidy Husa museum of a life already lived. I made tea. I sat. I looked at the walls. I looked at the clock. I was waiting to die. And a cold, furious spark ignited in the center of that gray void. Who gave him the pen? Who gave that nice young doctor with his fancy scans the authority to write the last chapter of my story? To define my quality of life as soft chairs and whispered farewells. The anger was clean. It was clarifying. It was the first real, the thing I'd felt in years. I didn't want to say my goodbyes. I wanted to roar. I stood up. I went to the whole closet, to the very back, behind the winter coats. My fingers found it. A dusty, flat box. I pulled it out and laid it on my kitchen table. Inside wasn't a photo album. It was a poster, carefully rolled. I smoothed it out. The paper was brittle, the colors faded. A man on a gleaming motorcycle, leaning into a curve on a wild, empty coastal highway. The slogan, "Live Free." I'd bought it at a gas station in 1971. A secret rebellion against the sensible life I knew I had to lead. I'd never put it up. I'd saved it like a promise to a future self. That future self was now 83 and had just been handed a death sentence. I looked from the doctor's hospice brochure to the man on the bike, forever leaning into freedom. The logic was absurd. It was perfect. He said my body was failing, but he didn't measure my will. If this was the end, it would be my end, on my terms, not in a soft chair. In the wind. The very next morning, I put on my most comfortable shoes and called a taxi. "Or two, ma'am?" the driver asked. "Harley-Davidson, the dealership on Broadway." There was a long pause. "I'm short." The dealership was a cathedral of chrome and testosterone. Young men in black leather vests, the rumble of engines being tested. I walked in, a small, white-haired woman in a beige cardigan. The silence was immediate. All conversations stopped. A young salesman named Chad, all tattooed arms and practiced smile, approached. "Can I help you, ma'am? Looking for a gift for a grandson?" I looked him dead in the eye. My voice didn't waver. "No, I'm looking for a motorcycle for me. Something manageable, but with a soul." Chad blinked. The mechanics in the garage stopped turning wrenches. I saw the doubt, the barely suppressed smiles. They saw a confused old lady. "Good, let them. We have the Street 500. It's a good beginner bike. Low seat height." He led me to a sleek, black machine. It wasn't the beast from my poster. It was smaller, sleeker. It was mine. I reached out and touched the fuel tank. The metal was cool. "Can I sit on it?" Chet looked nervous. "It's kind of heavy. Let me steady it." I ignored him. I put my foot on the peg, grabbed the handlebar, and swung my leg over. It was a struggle. My knees protested. My balance was wanky for a second, but I settled into the seat, my hands curled around the grips. In that instant, the years fell away. The sterile doctor's office, the quiet house, the pitying looks, all of it vanished. I wasn't Eleanor, the dying patient. I was Ellie, who was alive. Chad was staring, his mouth slightly open. "I'll take it," I said, "but I don't know how to ride it. I need lessons." The logic was insane. It was the only thing that made sense. My heart was a time bomb. Fine, let it explode while I'm doing something that makes it pound with joy, not fear. My bones were brittle. I'd pad myself in so much armor I'd look like a space knight. I wasn't buying a motorcycle. I was buying back the authorship of my life. I was buying one last, glorious, defiant sentence for my story, and it was going to be a roar. The reactions were a symphony of panic. My son, Mark, the accountant, sputtered about liability and insanity. My daughter, Sarah, cried, convinced I had dementia. "Mom," the doctor said. "Rest, peace, and quiet," she pleaded. That was the point. Their version of peace looked like a velvet-lined coffin. I showed them the helmet, the armored jacket, the boots. "This is my peace," I said. My instructor, Duke, a grizzled man in his 60s with a beard like steel wool, had no pity. He didn't see an old lady. He saw a student, a stubborn, slow, but fiercely determined student. The parking lot at the community college became my battlefield. The clutch was a fiend. The balance was a betrayal. I dropped the bike twice, a clatter of metal that sent onlookers gasping. Each time, Duke helped me up. "The ground's harder than your head, Ellie." Again, my body screamed in protest every night. New bruises over old bones, muscles I forgot existed burned. But every morning, I went back. The logic was now my religion. If I was going to hurt, let it be from living, not from dying. The day I finally navigated the full course without stalling, a shaky, slow circuit, Duke gave a single, firm nod. "You're a rider." Those 3 words were a greater honor than any diploma. I got my license, a photo of an 83-year-old woman, white hair wild, holding a helmet, with the grim determination of a soldier. I named the bike Liberty, not out of patriotism, but for the simple, profound fact it represented. My first real ride wasn't across the country, it was to the beach, 20 miles. The moment I turned onto the coastal highway, the world changed. The confined, careful space of my car vanished. I was in the world. I smelled the salt, the pine, the hot asphalt. I felt the temperature drop near the cliffs. The wind wasn't an enemy. It was a current I was swimming through. My mind, usually a noisy room of worries and memories, went quiet. It was only the road, the machine, the next curve. Survival focus. It was the most profound meditation of my life. I didn't stop at the beach viewpoint. I kept going. I rode for 2 hours until the sun began to dip. I wasn't running from death. I was finally catching up to myself. The woman I was supposed to be before life, love, and loss gently boxed her in. I started taking longer trips to the mountains, through redwood groves where sunlight dappled the pavement. I met other riders at diners, burls and leather, covered in patches. They'd see me pull up, do a double tick, then, without fail, offer a respectful nod. A fellowship based on the ride, not on age. My children's panic slowly turned to bewildered. AW, they'd call, expecting to find me frail in bed. Instead, I'd be describing the hawk I saw circling over a canyon, the color of the desert after rain. My voice had a vitality it hadn't possessed in a decade. 6 months after Dr. Evans's pronouncement, I had my follow-up appointment. I wore my riding jeans and boots under my coat. He ran the tests again, frowning at his screen. He looked at me, then back at the scans. "Your vitals are ... surprisingly stable. There's been no significant progression." He seemed almost disappointed his roadmap was wrong. I smiled. "I've been busy. Stress can accelerate these conditions," he cautioned, the authority back in his voice. "I hope you're not overexerting," Dr. Rice said, leaning forward. "Told me to get my affairs in order. To say goodbye." So I did. I said goodbye to fear. I said goodbye to letting a chart tell me who I am. I said goodbye to the idea that my best days are behind me. And in doing that, I found a reason for my heart to keep beating. I stood up, my body aching from a 100-mile ride the day before. Glorious, earned ache. You measured my disease. You didn't measure my will to live. There's a difference. I left his office, not with a prescription, but with a clean bill of defiance. I am 83. My doctor told me to start saying my goodbyes, so I bought a motorcycle. It wasn't a midlife crisis. It was an end-of-life revolution. The logic is simple, and I'll shout it for every person who feels written off by a number, a diagnosis, or an expectation. Your last chapter is yours to write. Don't let them hand you a gentle, fading final sentence. Steal the pen. Make it loud. Make it messy. Make it yours. Die living, not waiting. Because sometimes the thing that looks like a reckless goodbye to the world is the first real hello to yourself in 50 years. And that is a quality of life no scan can ever measure.